Hello, and welcome to the Sovereign Collective podcast, where we bring you real, raw truth for your self-empowerment. I'm your host, Sasha Calavoda, and I believe that you can stand on your own 2 feet, but that you don't have to do it alone. I love learning from people who continually strive to raise the bar, to go against mainstream thinking, and who dare to question the general consensus. People who risk being ridiculed or even risk the loss of their professional status as they bravely question the common narratives and challenge the rest of us to expand our minds and to reconsider what we think we already know. Join me in learning how to take control of your health and your mind so that you can have the energy to think more clearly and the confidence to step up and take responsibility for all aspects of your life. We promise to never censor here because I believe you are strong enough to hear the real, raw truth to make up your own mind. If you like what you find throughout the Sovereign Collective podcast, then please share with your friends and family. I so appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. And now, on to the show. Hey everyone, Sasha here, Sovereign Collective Podcast, another interview for you with the beautiful and the wise Nadine Artemis. If you listened to the last episode, which one was that? That was number 51. If you listened to that, you know Nadine has so much to share. We got into the whole skincare area of health, and there's so much to learn about that, and she provides such amazing products. And today we're going to be talking about holistic dental care, which is super important. But if you need a full introduction to Nadine, go listen to that interview, number 51. But in short, Nadine is a creator. She's a formulator. She's a provider of all her beautiful creations for the skin, for the hair, for the mouth. She's a provider of essential oils. She's an educator. She's a speaker. She's a published author. She's got her amazing book, Renegade Skincare. By the way, I did get that book out. I'm going to buy it too because I got it up from the library and it is thick. It's not just about here's a few recipes, here's your daily skincare routine. It's thick with information for your body, your mind, your soul, your skin, like everything. It is like a complete book. There's a ton of stuff in there. And she's also the author of Holistic Dental Care. Nadine, I got this a long time ago, and it is actually personally signed by you, by the way. You signed it when you were here, when you were speaking in Calgary many years ago. So I have.
Oh, wow. That was a while ago.
A long time ago. And I've had this.
2014.
24, yeah. Long time ago. So I'm wondering if there's been any updates to this, because I know I really love that you titled your last book. That first book that you wrote is like, what is it? How to Avoid the Dentist Without Ignoring the Subtitle.
Successful Self-Dentistry. Yeah.
So that's such, successful self-dentistry is such a great, I love that title because I personally have not seen a dentist since I quit my job in petrochemicals in 2006.
Amazing.
So I've been just kind of working on it myself. So yeah, so author, speaker, like there's so much information to be had through Nadine. So check out her site. Now, you're also going to want to buy products, I know for sure, for your mouth, for your skin, for whatever, when we're done with this interview. So in, a little bit of self-interest here, if you wouldn't mind using my link, because I am an affiliate, because what I love doing, and I'm curating some products on my site with people that I truly believe in and I want to share. And if I can share it through my site, then why wouldn't I do that? It's win-win for everyone. So you're going to get a little bit of a discount, 10% off. I'm going to get, some affiliate support so that I can do this more often, because I super want to put more time and effort into this podcast, even though it's a little bit hard when you're being censored. However, I still want to do, because I love talking to these people and providing it. So if you go to livinglibations.com/TSC, that would be amazing. I appreciate that. And that will be my first plug. We'll do one a little bit later. But anyways, because I know you're going to want to buy some products, because Nadine has so many amazing things and you're going to be so intrigued by all the things you're going to find in there. So today we're going to get into the holistic dentistry topic, because we're living in a world where like the doctor doesn't understand that the nose is connected to the elbow, is connected to the big toe. Never mind that the mouth is connected to everything. And it's extremely important part of our overall health and wellness. And the fact that we divide these so clearly, it's kind of shocking to me, because why would we separate that out? It's a really big part of our whole health picture here. So we're going to be getting into this in all sorts of different ways. So thank you, Nadine, for joining me today. Like I said, I am really excited about this because I know there's so many interesting facts that and I think a lot of people think that these solid things in our mouths aren't really the self-healing things that they are, right? That we think it's solid, it's there, and it is what you get. And if it's got something wrong with it, you got to drill it, take it out, put a plug in it, something like that. And it's really not the case. So thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure, of course. So, but I forgot to ask you one question last time.
Yes.
I'm talking skincare. And it's a really basic question. What is your daily skincare regimen? What do you do? I didn't ask you that, and I should have asked you
Not
that.
much.
I figured that. I did have a feeling. I did. But so in a nutshell, what would it be?
I take the Best Skin Ever, specifically right now, the Immortelle Best Skin Ever. I do the face cloth method. So I put a little bit of water on there, squirt of oil, rub that over my face, neck. Then I take another squirt of that or a serum, like I love the Rose Glow serum right now. I mean, I always love it, but that's what I'm using right now. And I'll take a couple squirts of that and put over my face, and that's it.
Like seriously. And you have so many things at your fingertips. How are you not like everything? I would be so tempted to just a little bit of this, because I layer a lot of different things on.
Yeah, I mean, I have I have the Sundew and the eye cream, and I love all that, but I usually like that. I don't know, that just seems more a special occasion or something, but like literally every day, that's it,
That is super basic, right? When we have all these routines that have to have like all these steps, right? It's pretty, when you have healthy skin, the idea that you have to have all these different products for different skin types and all that, just like
that's what I've been, wanting to undo too, though, is we don't need like these 20 steps to wash our face and take care of it and that kind of thing, I mean, I'll use lip balm. I usually like that. Sometimes I'll put that under, I love the chocolate one. I'll also put that under my eyes sometimes, on my eyebrows, it can go anywhere. Everything can pretty much go everywhere.
I always like lip balm, because if I feel like I'm a little bit dry and wrinkly,
yeah, it just seals it in. And the chocolate one is so good. I've even used it like one time. We have our new mascara out. I don't know if you've tried
I haven't yet. No.
It's so amazing. And we put peptide in it to grow the lashes. And I gotta say, my lashes are longer. And I don't even, I don't use mascara that much. I mean, a couple times a month.
Wow.
But I was just like, after like 6 months, and then I was like doing it last September. I mean, like applying it, and I was like, oh my God, like, I was just like, they're so much longer. Like I didn't even know. I thought sort of nice, it would condition them and take care of them like the other beautiful oils in the mascara, but it's amazing. But I was going to say, I use the chocolate lip balm to remove the mascara once, and I love it as a makeup remover.
Oh, interesting. I wouldn't know that. Oh, interesting. Yeah. So many things. Okay, guys. So check it out. livinglifepatience.com/TSC. Now let's talk about teeth. Before we get into all the amazing things that you have and how to probably take care of our teeth and the nutrition of our teeth, let's talk about the physiology of teeth. Like, our teeth just sitting in our mouths and that is what we get. Like, what is going on? I mean, you talk about the lymph of the teeth, the invisible toothbrush, right? The hormonal connection. Like, there's so many things going on with the teeth, and it's quite profound. So tell us, enlighten us, what's going on in our
it is pretty profound that like we've disconnected each body part from the whole, and that the mouth is seen as this separate system, which is pretty amazing. I kind of blame Descartes for that, back in the whatever, like a century ago, and a couple centuries ago, and he was just sort of like dividing sort of the mind from the body. That sort of like, I think, therefore I am. But we just went to town with it, I feel like, in modern medicine. And then specifically with dental care, it was about the time in the 1940s, the American Dental Association was trying to actually apparently decide, is there sort of there was a systemic sort of group of dentists that felt that it was connected to the rest of the body. But they decided to go in about 1944 with the acidogenic theory of tooth decay, which was just merely like acids and sugars sitting on the teeth create decay. And that kind of cut off the rest of the discussion. So that was sort of a pivotal moment. But when I sort of go into a body system, I like to how can we, how do we wash our face, or like, how are we going to take care of our teeth? Because, I'm not going to start with the premise that, whatever we designed in the 1950s is the way that we're going to be taking care of ourselves. And that was also in the 40s and 50s, when a lot of chemicals was sort of getting into a new heyday, and then they were everywhere. So a lot was happening at that time. But anyway, I like to really figure out like, yeah, so what is the body doing? Like we weren't born with a toothbrush in our hands. So like what's going on? What are the systems in the body? And it was kind of mind blowing to find out. And of course, I'm just studying dentists. I'm just a person with teeth, but I'm trying to figure out what are we supposed to do on a daily basis? Because all I know is those like childhood things where you go to the dentist like once or twice a year, and then it's just like, not helpful in the sense of like what are you supposed to doing? It's just like brush, floss, and for a lot of people that doesn't work at all. And then what are we brushing and flossing with? But again, we weren't born with the brush and floss. So like, again, what is the systems in the body? So luckily I was studying the work of Hal Huggins, who was a pioneering dentist. And he, since the 60s, was talking about mercury. And he had a very rare book that I found. And he has a sense of humor too. And it was called Why Raise Ugly Kids.
Yeah.
And he had a pretty comprehensive.
We didn't worry about offending people so badly back in the day.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't. Yes, that's a good point. And the dental chapter in there was a few things, a few chapters, like, I don't know, I can't remember the whole book now. I should actually get it again. I lost it in the fire, but I got to pick it up.
Oh.
Anyway, so he was blown away when he went to go see a doctor called Dr. Steinman, Dr. Ralph Steinman. And he said that that's the moment that like his whole education in dentistry was like, getting washed away like castles on the beach. And what Dr. Steinman found out in the 1950s, because in every August he had such severe allergies, he had to close his practice.
Wow.
And then I don't know how, but he came across like, don't eat the white. So if he went off the white stuff, we'll call it like the, sugar, flour, dairy, probably like just, and it totally cleared up. And he's just like, it made him to go, there's got to be a systemic connection with the teeth. And apparently, since like the late 1800s, that was sort of the path they were trying to understand that, because it only makes sense. But anyway, so once he solved his allergy thing, he decided to give up his daily practice, and then he just went into research full time at Loma Linda University. And what he found was he was able to chart for the first time this systemic connection, even though it seems so obvious, of the mouth and the rest of the body. And through like thousands of studies, he, in short, he used like X-ray dye and was able to find, and he used rats because apparently they have teeth like us or whatever. But anyway, obviously rats are used a lot in medical things. But anyway, found out that when we chew foods, the substrates, the chemical messengers, hopefully we're eating nutrients, those connect with our hypothalamus. The glands by the jaw, the parotid glands, they're communicating with the hypothalamus. I feel like it always goes back at some point to the hypothalamus for like anything to happen in the body. And then that sends out the chemical messengers. So then we've chewed the nutrients, and then it goes down into our stomach. And that process of, the nutrients going up and going to the stomach and then up into the teeth takes about 6 minutes. But then apparently from the roots of the teeth up into the pulp chamber, that takes like an hour. So I find that kind of fascinating too, because the shortest distance is taking the longest. But in that moment, there's a chemical change. And the blood, so the teeth are like trees with roots, and then the blood is drawn up through the roots of the teeth into the pulp chamber. Hold on. Shut my door. Into the pulp chamber, and there it's fenestrated into a lymphatic liquid. So it becomes this clear lymphatic liquid. And then the pulp chamber is that sort of core heart, the heart of the tooth. And if you got a root canal, that's the part that's taken out and cemented over. So all the things sort of happen in this pulp chamber, and this liquid, this very precious liquid delivering nutrients, goes into the pulp chamber and then is pushed out with odontoblasts, which are like little pistons for the liquid, pushing them out onto the surface of the teeth. And that's then this like microscopic liquid. It's like kind of like a microscopic sweat comes from inside the tooth out into the mouth. And there it coalesces with the saliva to, just so many things it's doing for the teeth. Like, it's like, if there's a weak area, we'll like go to that, kind of like how, a tree will work with the sap inside and repair wounds. And so it's a really important part of the alchemy And then hopefully it's meeting sort of this alkaline saliva, because our saliva is sort of like this sea, a little ocean in our mouths. And we want to have, you don't want to have a dry mouth, and you don't want to have an acidic mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very protective. And that's what I call the invisible toothbrush, because this liquid acts like a buffering agent to prevent things, to prevent all the things that we don't want going on in our mouth. And so it's this centrifugal force. It's like, so the liquid's going upwards and inwards and spiraling out. So what happens is, if this system is stressed by, peak hormone times like pregnancy or teen times, or we're on our cell phone all the time by our ear, or just chemical exposure, or not actually eating nutrients, not having minerals, depleting, and just eating junk food, that kind of thing, the system will stagnate. And so we're not getting that flow. We're not getting that invisible toothbrush going. But worse yet, if it continues, then that system actually reverses. Mm-hmm. And then the tooth becomes like a straw, and then it sucks into the tooth the bacteria virus from the mouth, the decay essentially. And then that's actually the genesis of how a cavity is formed, is as if this dentinal lymphatic system, which is actually, I forgot to tell you that part, that's what it's called. It's like the teeth have a lymph system. I mean, that's just mind blowing.
It is.
Yes. And so, then it reverses. And so to get that back, you've got to up your, make sure you're eating mineral rich foods. You've got vitamin D going on, vitamin D with K2. K2 is very important with the vitamin D, because that helps they work together. And when we have ample vitamin D in our body, then any minerals that we're ingesting get driven into the bone. If we don't have vitamin D3, K2, then the minerals kind of just float around in the bloodstream. They're not getting driven into the bone. So they kind of usher the minerals in. They're like guiding them, which is very important. So the vitamin D3, K2 work synergistically with the minerals, which you need, like, some good magnesium, manganese, phosphorus. So also now sugar is affecting us, but more because if we're spiking our blood sugar, this can, or if we're continually in a spiked blood sugar situation, or we're, close to diabetic, hypoglycemia, these things are affecting the mouth, not from the sugar necessarily sitting on the teeth, but because there's, the blood sugar is spiked. And when that's spiked, then we don't have the same mineral profile. And so, sugar is not good, but not because it's like on the tooth per se, right? So that's what we have to understand, is there's this, invisible system that we can engage, and it can be there, like really caring for our teeth, where then we're just sort of sloughing off, the daily plaque and that kind of stuff, rather than, trying to make the brushing be the solution for the cavity, which is a part of it, but it's not. Because if you go to the dentist, you feel like, oh, I guess I just didn't brush or something, right? But then there's people that are perfect brushers and flossers, and they're still getting cavities. Oh. And obviously, because it's a deeper issue. Or you're gonna have people that never brush and they don't have any cavities because they just got that constitution, and they're eating, they're eating and absorbing their nutrients.
Right, like those Swiss people in Weston Price book, where they bring slime on their teeth, but no cavities.
Yeah. Right? I love that book. Yeah, the Weston Price book is great, because he didn't know what it was at that time, but he called it, what do you call it? Activator X. He's like, there is something that's like in the butter and in the things that they're eating. And we now believe it's the K2 combined with the D3 that takes care of it. And I love that, because he was like 1930s, Weston Price was the president of the American Dental Association. And he would travel around with his wife, sort of Indiana Jones style, going to Pacific Rim cultures, going to the Hebrides in Scotland, or the Swiss Alps, and looking at rare villages up in the mountains, or the Hebrides was interesting because he was able to, there was twins. So one twin lived by the port, access to all the goods and the sugary items at the town shops. And then the other brother lived, in in
Right.
in a bit, and in the traditional housing with the peat roofs, and not that the roof was helping his teeth, but eating the traditional way, and just like the devastating difference in their bone structure. It was amazing, you know.
And how quick, and that's interesting because like you would think also when how they were raised is going to impact that, wouldn't you? Like I wonder when
True.
they split and how
Yeah.
fast that happens, because that's remarkably quick if they started the same. Because I know generationally that the changes are huge, but
Yeah.
also within that same generation, look how quickly you can degrade.
Now you're making me want to reread the book. I'm like, how long did it take? An interesting thing. I'm not fresh on all like the details, but I have the general one is he was studying, he was, you know, doing root canals, as I guess they did back then. But his son died after a root canal. And then he studied like putting root canal, I think it was in a rabbit or something. And then like the rabbit got the same disease
And it was
as like,
Weston Price's son that died?
yeah. And he was so like, he had to
Oh,
figure it out because he was so sad by it, like
course.
obviously devastating. And I have to refresh myself on that, but he really had just started to go into the root canals, was completely devastated by them. And then an interesting story to Hal Huggins, because this is later, obviously, but somebody came to a Hal Huggins lecture and they were like, I have this like treasure chest of all of his work on like root canals and stuff. And they were waiting for like the right person to give it to. Yeah. So then Hal Huggins was the inheritor of like that whole information. But in Renegade Beauty, my newer book, I think that was published in 2018, there is like, I mean, you know, there's still the dental book and everything in there, but then I was able to add just some extras. And I do go into a study done by Dr. Nunnally on root canals. And they took textbook perfect root canals, you know, that a dentist would just be like, oh yeah, they're great. They showed perfect on an x-ray. They extracted them. And this was an independent study, and they found, yeah, all of them have, you know, varying degrees of severe necrotic bacteria. So it didn't matter, like if it looked perfect on X-ray, it still had severe necrotic bacteria, and that's because, you know, root canals just they're not good. They're a good theory. The theory is that we'll just save the tooth. Which is good because, you know, it's great to have like a tooth that looks like a tooth and it's a natural tooth. And they'll take out that pulp chamber, cement it. And then the idea is that you have just like, you know, a dead tooth in your mouth, saving that chewing surface, and that it would be sealed, but it's only in theory hermetically sealed. It's not. I mean, part of it's sort of sealed off. So then, you know, blood can't get to it to flush out the bacteria. You know, and then the one of the main things too is this still blows my mind. Like every molar has 300 meters, and like still that stat, like I'm always in my head, I'm like, you know, it's not three. Because even 3 meters would be long, but 300 meters of microscopic tubules.
Yeah, that's
and
insane.
They cannot be sterilized. You know, it's like taking a chainsaw to do like the finest work. Like it's not compatible. So it's impossible to sterilize. So you only have this sort of nest of necrotic bacteria growing in your mouth. And, you know, and then it doesn't, you know, so depending on your person and your constitution, you know, how much of a time bomb is that? You know, maybe you'll be fine your whole life. Maybe one person that had it in is having like an eyesight issue 3 months later. Or somebody's manifesting MS a bit later, like a year. You know what I mean? So I know, of course, causation isn't correlation. And if you feel fine, that could be fine, but it's something you want to keep an eye on. But if you do have an issue with your health or some kind of autoimmune thing, you know, you probably want to have that root canal removed.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to ask. So if somebody is either in need of one or already has one, what would you recommend in those situations?
So if you need one, really check. Do you really need one? Is it sort of preventative? You know, do you need another opinion? Do you need a better dentist? You know, so there's those things, because some might be keen, you know, and I do, and in Renegade Beauty, I go through two journalistic stories. One is in the States where a journalist is visiting 50 dentists, and one's in Canada and they visit 20. And they both have like, their teeth examined to try and get to the real issue, like really understand what it is. And then they go and get 20 different advice, or you know what I'm saying? And it was every single dentist was different, right? For both of them, ranging from $500 to $30,000 in solution. Many of them missed the actual tooth that needed repair work, which I think it was basically kind of for both of them was like a molar needed a crown kind of thing.
Right.
Like it's staggering. And when the American Dental Association was asked about this discrepancy for the US story, they said, well, dentistry is not a science, it's an art. And I was like, oh, well, that's interesting.
That is it.
I think we all think it was a science, you know?
I think so. And yes, not about how the teeth look. There's so much cosmetic dentistry going on, but what is the health of the actual
tooth? Exactly. And so, while dentistry seems like it's black and white, and the x-rays may seem black and white, there is like, obviously 50 shades of gray in there that just with many. So definitely like, I think it's really important to have a really good dentist. And, you may like your dentist and they may be nice people, but they may not have a clue about what's going on right now, and so that's important to know. Yeah.
For sure.
So first, do you really need one? And then secondly, if you do need one or you need to have it removed, hopefully if it's in the molars, then just remove it. But it's important whether you're removing it or removing the old root canal or extracting the tooth. Again, you want to go to a good biological dentist, because the method of extraction in normal dentistry, whether it's just like removing a tooth or removing a wisdom tooth or what have you, they leave the periodontal ligament in, which is a part of the tooth, and that's just what's taught in school. But Hal Huggins explained it to me. It's sort of akin to leaving the placenta in after giving birth. You don't want. And then what happens is, like, obviously the gum grows over and it all seals up, but then it creates a jaw cavitation, which is basically a cavity in the jawbone instead of the tooth. And a jaw cavitation does not manifest on an x-ray until it's about 80% gone.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Like 80, not gone, but like 80% infected, or I guess it's kind of gone. So
yes. So
then the option is, then you at some point, even like I knew I had to come to that day where, because knowing, I was going deep into research around 208. And I have had 3 wisdom teeth out. So I was like, I will definitely have to get that checked. And I did in 2018, because again, I have to go to the right dentist. So that takes a moment. My dentist is in Texas.
Oh, wow.
And, although in Calgary, you've got a great option with out by Hannah.
Yes.
Warwick.
I can't remember the name, but I remember you mentioned that before. They're still there. That dentist is there.
It's a daughter and a dad, and they're great.
Okay. That up.
So what happens, so to get the jaw cavitation removed, so the dentist will check, and really if the tooth's already gone, so it's not that traumatic really on one level, but it has to be done right. And so they'll scrape the infection out of the jawbone, which again, they're using freezing. It sounds awful, but it didn't hurt. It doesn't hurt after either. It's not like having the tooth removed where you kind of have that, where you're really sore for a few days. Yeah. It actually doesn't hurt.
You had a jaw cavitation?
Yeah, I had to do it wherever I had the root canal. I didn't have a root canal. Wherever the wisdom teeth out, which was the 3.
Wow.
I had a wisdom teeth come in my 30s, so I still had that one, which was just
wow.
Weird. Yeah, isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, and he checked, and of course it needed some kind of cleanup, as is like 98% of all extraction sites need a cleanup.
Wow.
Because of the traditional method. And so they'll scrape it, and then blood comes back to the area, and then a blood clot forms, and that's really key. And then if you're going to the right dentist, they will then inject the area with ozone, and then also your own plasma. So they'll just have a good dentist will have like a blood centrifuge at the office. They'll take out your blood and then put it in the spinner, and then you get your own plasma separated from the blood. It's this beautiful golden liquid, And then that's injected into the site. And then that brings stem cells and healing to the area for like the next 6 months.
Wow. Okay.
So you definitely want a doctor that does that, right? A dentist.
Like how many do you consider that? Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And if it is a molar, you can just leave the space, especially if it's just one. And Dr. Huggins said, yeah, your face isn't going to cave in. You're fine. But obviously if it's a front tooth, you got a different situation.
Yes.
And so the options there are, you can do a bridge, but then they're shaving off good teeth on either side. Or do you have teeth on either side? You could have a temporary, but that's kind of, I feel like if it's your front teeth, that's kind of,
yeah.
And you might talk a bit funny. Or you can do a post, like a implant.
Mm-hmm.
Now with those, also, if you have any old implants in your mouth, you'll want to redo it because everybody was using, and mainly everybody still uses titanium, which is a very toxic metal. And you do not want that in your jawbone.
Right.
So there is zirconium, which has been used in Europe for like 40 years and is very immune compatible. Again, it's a foreign object in your body, so there might be some issues with receiving it, but it seems very immune compatible for most people. And there are also ceramic options, but you have to check into the purity level.
Okay.
And make sure it is truly clean. Because like a porcelain, a lot of people spend more on like porcelain fillings and stuff, but they still have heavy metals in them. So they're not always what you think. So that's important. And so, yeah, for the front, I would do like a zirconium post from, again, your very, very good dentist.
Right. Few and far between, right?
Yeah. And you don't want to be the first zirconium patient,
Right.
Also, in my book, and also we have an article on the website, it is questions to ask prospective dentists. And so I think that's a really good
resource. Yeah.
It's just from a few questions you can find out. And like, really, if your doctor is truly rocking it in this day and age, the whole practice would not be doing root canals. So that's a sign of a very good practice when they're like, no, we don't do that, because they know they're deadly,
right?
And and then once you know that, I mean, you can't unknow it, and so hopefully you've done something about that.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I've known a few people that the problem is, I think a lot of people wouldn't think to connect their MS symptoms to their dental.
Yeah, they do. I talk in the book about Dr. Eisels, who's like for I think about 40 years, hopefully he's still around. He's been, healing and working with cancer patients in Europe, and he won't begin the work if you still have your root canal.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. So kids, what about kids? So my son, like, I think a lot of kids feel very violated by having a toothbrush.
Oh my God.
Right. It's quite a reach. And so we didn't, but my son, there's a few things. So he had not the best experience with his baby teeth. So I was a vegan for a lot of time before becoming pregnant, still a vegetarian as a pregnant, and I made a lot of water kefir when my son was little, and kombucha, and not really realizing, oh my God, all that acidity on the teeth all the time. So he had a couple teeth pulled, probably not. So what happens when they're pulled as baby teeth? First of all, his thank God, have been amazing. Not an issue whatsoever. Thank God. But these teeth pulled, I reversed the cavity with ozone in his teeth. I started plugging the area with ozone and reversed the whole thing. So there's a lot of things in there, but let's talk kids' dental health, and do the same rules apply with pulling and all that kind of thing as adults?
Just wise, yes. First of all, I mean, it was seeing I was vegan for a long time, so I totally get it, but it is not sustainable.
Right.
It's not sustainable to make babies or to grow them, and seeing vegan teeth on the kids is not, they're so weak, right? We know that now. And it was actually the dental stuff that even further made me go, we can't do that. We need the other nutrients. So I get it, but like, you gotta figure that out. if you're going to have babies and stuff, because it does when you're, it's the pre-pregnancy and the pregnancy that's really forming the teeth.
Right.
So that's really important. Oh, I forgot where we were going to go with that. Oh yeah, if there is an issue and they're saying to do like a root canal, or like I think it's called a little pulpectomy or something on the kids, you're definitely, if it is an issue, then it's better to just get the tooth removed, that baby tooth, but don't root canal it. You know what I mean?
That sounds crazy to root canal a baby tooth.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a good option.
No.
But definitely right away, K2, D3, feel out, do your own research, but probably like, some people might think 5 to 10,000 IU is high. I don't personally.
What do you think about the K though? Because the thing is the recommendations for vitamin K in Canada compared to the US are like orders of magnitude different. So what are your recommendations on how much vitamin K?
You know what? I haven't looked at that specifically.
Okay.
But yeah, I didn't know they were different either.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you might have to like up your K. Yeah, but they work together. So there's a good ratio. There's a good book on that. Oh, what's her name? Kate Rianne Blue. I think she's Canadian too.
Okay.
All about K2. It's great.
Okay. Oh,
and that's probably got some good advice in there. But yeah, they go together. And but right away, there's usually a vitamin D deficiency. So right away, and you may need like, you can go to a doctor or naturopath, or there are ways you can get it yourself, and you can inject like 50,000 IU of vitamin D and just get that baseline up, and then supplement and get some sunbathing in, but you might need to bring your levels right up. So in March is not a good time to go to the dentist, for example, because everybody's D depleted, and then the cavity diagnoses are like so much higher, because often people.
So they heal.
That?
So they're healing.
Yeah, they often heal. There's like, sometimes people don't even know sort of the waxing and waning of their own, like a cavity. They may have got one coming, but if they didn't go to a dentist, they may not know. And then maybe they're balancing it out again. You know what I mean? So they didn't even know it kind of came and went.
So cool.
Yeah. So really so right away, even with sensitive teeth, bruxism, teeth grinding, you got to get the vitamin D up to sufficient levels. And it's a living thing, the vitamin D. Like every day you need to either have some, like a supplement, or get in the sun, or both. Because it's not really in the food supply. Hopefully if you can eat some organs and like you got some liver pate going or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was just not really coming in from food sources. And we are like so not in the sun.
You recommend supplementing if they are in the summertime, getting an ample amount of sun without the sunscreen barrier?
Well, I really sunbathe. I chart it, I'm like, I've got my D Minder app. So every time I'm in the sun, I'm calculating my D levels, the D Minder app. It's so good. And
I got it after you told me about it. Yeah.
But I would say like I'm on it, and I'm on the sunbathing in probably ways that most people are not. And I have to still sometimes, I've got to I got to be on it all summer. And then I could probably not do in the summer, but then I've got to make sure as there's less, even though there's still sun UV in the September, October here, but obviously I'm doing it less than, because there's like less sunny days or whatever. And I have to, like, before the sun runs out, get the supplements going again. You know what I mean? Wow. So I knowing my own dedication, I would say, I think most people need supplements year round, even if they're getting in the sun. Wow. Because like Ron, my husband and son, they'll get sunshine, and I'm always like, don't get your shirt, get your shirt off, get in the sun, all that. So I'd say they're pretty like average, just sort of, they're not tracking it like I am. But if that's their situation, knowing how I'm so hardcore, like I'd say most people, even if they're sun friendly and they're getting out there, would probably need to still supplement, from my own experimentation.
Wow. And you don't think it's enough to have liver weekly, maybe some grass-fed products and things like that?
Well, that's all good, but when we're in the sun, there's a different type of vitamin D that's created. It's a water, so that's important. And depends. Maybe we'd have to look at the ratios of D in the organ meats, Because yeah, I mean, I love not taking a supplement, or when I've cracked a code to like, get it from elsewhere. And I think, liver is pretty amazing at, it's like if you look at its vitamin profile, it's like super vitamin. It's amazing.
Totally.
It took a while to even integrate that, like, because it's like organ meats are less tasty. But I got a pate recipe that's amazing.
Nice. Yeah. I just
I
went
like crave it now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I just went
Yeah.
full on. I went from being vegan to when I was pregnant, vegetarian. And then about a year and a half in, I'm like, it stopped making sense to me. I started reading Kate Shanahan's Deep Nutrition and Weston Price and, all that stuff. I'm like, it just doesn't make sense. And I'm breastfeeding like freaking crazy. That's just else out of me. And so I just went full on. I went from nothing to sausage to chicken feet to organs to just bring it in. So
yeah, I think I just say a similar path.
Yeah.
So I'm not just pretty much like a steak and potato gal. You know what I mean? Like, well, yams for the potatoes and, steak and liver, and I'm good.
Yeah. It's a big change, but it's good. I feel bad for it too. So that's awesome. So what about all these before we get into your luscious, beautiful products, what about all these things that people like, now you can like bleach your teeth whenever you want. I mean, we've got, the Colgate, the Crest, we got all that stuff going on. We've got, I don't even know, all this cosmetics, like, I don't know, it's all about poison. I don't know, mouthwash, like, what is all that stuff do? Oh, and first, before that, can we talk about the importance of the microbiome of the mouth, and what is that doing for the teeth, and how do we keep a healthy microbiome in the mouth?
Well, actually, those kind of questions are actually kind of related because, right, the microbiome in the mouth. So often, I'm sure we've heard of the gut microbiome, which is just like basically the bacteria that's keeping us alive, the bacteria that's like communicating with all the body systems, the endocrine. Oh my God, what other body systems are there? The digestive, the musculoskeletal, like everything, right? And so we were very cell and de-orientated, I feel like, before the 2000s, like, and right, it was, which is still important, but we had
we were what oriented? Sorry, I missed that.
We were very much into like the DNA and the gene, like pre-2000 genome, DNA cells, which obviously those are important, but we had no clue what was on the horizon of the microbiome,
right?
Which is basically, as many cells as we have the same amount of, I mean, not the same, but you know what I mean? Billions of cells, billions of bacteria work to make our bodies function. I mean, it's just in the 80s when we thought the stomach was sterile.
Crazy.
And now we know it's this like bustling hive of bacteria and all this sort of stuff. So the whole alimentary canal is obviously got a microbiome. The mouth's microbiome is connected to obviously ear, nose, throat microbiome, gut microbiome. We've got yoni microbiome, the skin microbiome, nose micro. So there's all these little microbiomes, which is our little ecosystem. We're basically a host to a banquet of bacteria. And with our skin, we want to actually allow the bacteria to be our beautician. So when we're using chemicals or sodium lauryl sulfate or benzoyl peroxide to treat that zit, we are messing with the microbiome, and we're mutating the very precious species that we don't even, know. We're just starting to know.
Right.
So there's a lot to discover there. And then with our mouths, we just sort of had this, again, I feel like out of the 40s and 50s came this scorched earth policy, this germ warfare, right, on the environment, or like pesticides. We're going to grow food and we're going to spray it. And it's sort of the same thing with our mouths, where we've taken this ecosystem and then we're just like, great, like Listerine with like synthetic alcohol, which all those synthetic mouthwashes as a category, there's a stat, this is an older stat, like 2012, but they're creating over 36,000 cases of oral cancer a year.
Wow.
And because it's mutating the species that are supposed to, be taking care of our mouth. And even things like strep creates cavities in mouths, but not everybody that has strep, like pretty much everybody has some form of strep at some point, or it's there, but we have to have all the good bacteria keeping it in balance. And so that's why some there seems to be a difference for people. It's like if strep is creating cavities for some, but not others. And researchers and scientists feel that it's because, in some people, they're missing their ancestral bacterial buddies that are keeping things in check. And so most of the things that we're using in our mouths, triclosan and the Colgate, bleach for bleaching, sodium lauryl sulfate, and on and on it goes. All of that is mutating the microbes. So then we can't, or even antibiotics to bust through biofilms, make sense on one level, but then it's mutating the good bacteria. And so what's really cool about the botanicals, which I like to think of as botanical biotics, because they're not antibiotic, biotic being life, antibiotic being against life, botanical biotics being for life, and all those, familiar, beautiful, well, familiar to me, but the like the beautiful things like frankincense, tea tree, mastic, myrrh, frankincense, rose, cinnamon, clove, cardamom, like different cultures. Those are revered plants, historically and cross-culturally, and they've all been used in oral care. And now we have modern science studies that can show us that what's so cool about these plants and their essential oil distillations is that they act as quorum sensing inhibitors, QSI for short. And what that means is quorum sensing is when pathogens start to gain traction, they start to communicate and gene express, and that enables them to get, into their gangs and eventually form little biofilm gangs, so to speak. And, something like clove can come in and inhibit that quorum sensing, yet they're all able to work with the beneficial bacteria. So instead of this like antibiotic, just, this indiscriminate assassin just killing it all, we're able to have the plant intelligence come in, dismantle the pathogen, but keep the beneficial bacteria, which is so the sort of silver bullet we need right now, because that's exactly what we need. We need that, what we're sort of the medicine that we're using to take care of our skin and mouths, to be able to discern. And it has that ability. So even things like, hydrogen peroxide is able to, work with pathogens, but not, still be in harmony with a lot of the beneficial bacteria. So hydrogen peroxide is good for, you should always have some, you want to use it diluted. You don't want to use it every day because it can be a little too astringent on the gums, and kind of, we don't want the gums to get too oversensitized. So actually, if you are using it too, a good thing too is to follow up with like a baking soda, rinse or something to then neutralize that. So it is a good thing. Another thing I like to do is just take some baking soda and that diluted 3% hydrogen peroxide, and you just like mix it in a jar. I have no measurements. You just do it. And you do actually let it evaporate, like dry out and evaporate a bit. And you kind of have this like hydrogen peroxide infused baking soda.
Oh, okay.
It's lovely for whitening and stuff. So that's really good. The thing with the bleaches is that it's like weakening the enamel, and you're white for a moment. It's a weird white too. And then you're looking for a yellow, like, I mean, not looking, but that's what you're eventually creating. And then you're in another catch-22, because then you're going to need bleaching more. And then the other thing that we need to know is that whiteness, the teeth whiteness, actually comes from within. So the enamel is actually translucent, like a window, and it's the health of that pulp chamber inside, which I like to think of as fat. Like we want those juicy fats in there, so those fat soluble K2, D3, and the health will then get reflected, out into that transparent thing. So like that's when you see gray and glassy teeth, often on a vegan diet.
Yes.
Or, there could be other issues, or like a lot of antibiotic use of some that, sorry, I got to let my dog in, that challenges the teeth a lot.
Yes.
I wish I could show her right now. She's so cute. So yeah, you don't want to get in catch-22 with the bleaching and that kind of thing. And you want to think of the whiteness coming from within the teeth. And then often, especially in our world, we're eating a lot of pigmented foods. So often the discoloration could just be harder to remove, but not impossible, but sort of discolored plaque from your spirulina smoothie or your red wine or whatever, your chaga teas,
Yes. Yeah.
And so, that's what you want to polish off. And we last year came out with a toothpaste. I've been wanting to make it for a few years, and it's with a mineral with oh my God, how can I say it? Can't say it now. Hydroxyapatite.
So is the nano? Okay, so I've been looking at the nano hydroxyapatite. I'm like, oh, it's nano. As soon as I hear the word nano, I'm like, is it okay?
Yeah, we really went into it, and it's the mineral that makes up your teeth. It's like most of the teeth making that structure.
Yes.
And so, I mean, obviously fluoride's a whole other issue, but dentists that use it are like, oh my God, it's better than fluoride. It helps to seal the tooth surface. It helps to even it out. It helps to whiten it. It helps to remineralize it. So it's amazing. And it was actually approved by NASA. I mean, whatever that means, but it's just, that's the whole other thing. But they did approve it for bone. It did prevent bone loss. So
right. Yes. I know it works. Yeah.
So it's really great. And then you can combine that with some things once in a while. You know what I mean? Like we've got this actually like infrared light coming that you could like pack in a little kind of tooth mask and then put that in your mouth for a bit. We also have these silicone tooth trays, kind of like the ones you would get at the dentist. They would put the fluoride in, but you can put in your nano. You can take a little bowl, even mix a little more baking soda in there. Use some of the swishing serum, make more of make the paste even sort of pastier, and then just pop that in, for an hour or so, and just sort of have a spa moment with your mouth, feeding that into the teeth, which is really good. You can also take pumice. You can get like natural pumice flour, so to speak. So you need the finest micron. It's usually called the flour. So it's finer than fine. So basically you'll feel it, and it will feel like literally like flour, like FLOUR. And it has to be that soft. And then you just take that with some of the toothpaste, and then you just brush, and that's such a good like tooth exfoliator. Just avoid the gum area a bit, because you want to keep very gentle with the gums. Mm-hmm. And that's a great remover of stains.
So how often, okay, a couple questions. So how often can you do the baking soda infused with hydrogen peroxide? How often would you do that?
You could probably do it a few times a week. Just know, like, if your gums start just feeling a little sensitive, then scale that back. Mm-hmm. and get, or maybe you need to kind of get your gum health in order, which is like, you want to make sure none of them are receding. And we have the 8 steps for that. And that's like, you really want to care for that. We don't want the gums receding, because then when that enamel's exposed, it's a different quality enamel.
That's my problem that I really have to focus on. I've got receding gums.
You want to do the steps. And then we also have this syringe. It's like blunt tipped. Yeah. And you can put all kinds of things in there. You could do your hydrogen peroxide rinse. You could have some swishing serum. You could add, salt water. Or the healthy gum drops, and then you're just flushing out the gum lines. Because it's kind of like if you like swept stuff under the rug, so to speak, of your gum, then you got to clear that out so the gum can come back down.
And how much do they actually grow back down? Have you seen a big...
It's like, you want to think of it as, it's like gum pocket. And so if you've gone, you haven't gone to the dentist, but if you did, maybe they'd be like, oh, it's your gum pocket on this tooth, like a 7.
Yeah.
And it's not, you can totally bring it back down to like a 2. You really can. Because then the other thing is with gum grafting, so many people have to have it done in 10 years because they didn't deal with the actual issue. Right? It's a Band-Aid. I'm always like going, what is the not Band-Aid solution?
Of course.
Right? And so brushing, you want to make sure you're not going like back and forth, which is how we're taught, but gum down, or like bottom teeth would be gum up. The tops, you can go to town, or like if you're brushing, I don't know, and you're like just and you're totally not using the gum, you can go to town wherever there's literally no gum, but you kind of want to get into that practice of just gentle.
I started doing that. So what do you think about this? I made my own tooth powder lately, and I find it keeps my teeth so white, but it's just bentonite clay, charcoal, baking soda, and essential oils. That's what I did. Is that like, do you have to look at any of the the grit of that stuff.
No, those are all, yeah, we looked at, it's called the RDA, or there's the Mors fat, like MOR, MOS. It's like all about the dental abrasivity rating.
Okay.
And we often get emails like, oh, baking soda is so abrasive. And it's like, it's not. Its RDA is like, I think it's 7. It's definitely under 10. Most toothpastes are over 70, over 100.
No way.
Sensitive, yeah, like sensitive, like I think Tom's of Maine like is like a 70.
Wow.
For sensitive teeth.
No
Yeah.
way.
So you go to town on that baking soda. It's totally gentle. Dr. Paul Keyes, he was a periodontal surgeon. So a lot of gum grafts in his practice. And he wanted to help people not have the surgery. So he did this thing which works so well, and it's fun for kids. You know, just brush as we do, like, you know, in our 8 steps. So do all the brushing. And then you do a coating of like just baking soda, or our toothpastes are high in baking soda, so you can use that, or just some classic baking soda, and you leave it on. So you're just sort of coating the teeth with baking soda, and then you take a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, and then you put that in your mouth, and it's like just like a little science experiment in your mouth. Like it's just all foaming and everything.
I've done it from you. Yes.
Yeah, it's such a great lifter of all the plaque and stuff. It's so good. So that's a fun
do
way.
Anything to buffer the acid afterwards?
No, because the baking soda is so high in alkalinity that the sum total of the two is still alkaline.
It's still buffered. Okay. And so before we talk about your amazing stuff, so what are some dietary guidelines? What are some basic things that we should be incorporating into our diets to ensure that we have healthy, strong, white teeth?
Yeah, well, the D3K2. So I do think we have to supplement as well, you know, and then have our organ meats and the sunshine.
Okay.
But that is really key. And then, well, you know, and there's lots of organ meats, or like organ, I don't know, are they called meats? I guess organs, we'll just call them organ. There's so many great brands and capsules now that really you can rock that.
That too.
And then, you know, because that's why, because you would need your basic minerals, but that's just so hard for everybody's just so all over the map with that. So it's not like it's like just magnesium or something. And that's why I like the organs or liver, like liver pate, because it's just very complete.
Totally.
And if you know, do that long enough, or like, you know, have a good 3-month run at something, you'll, you know, probably get remineralized. And then you've got the D3K2 to usher those minerals into the bones. So that would be like the sort of foundation, like a dietary foundation. And then you want to make sure you're absorbing things like just gut health in general. Hopefully that's rocking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, B1 is pretty key to get the guts back in order.
B1, yeah.
That's a fun thing to look
into. Yeah, there's getting more. I find there's more information on B1 these days. So what fats? Any specific fats that you recommend at all?
Just fat is good in general. You know, like, you know, your butter, ghee, tallow, olive oil, coconut, MCT. That's what I would stick to.
Right.
I like, there's a water buffalo butter that I've been getting that I really like.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's good for, like, as I'm not totally into dairy, you know, but I find that's a very, I forget what's going on with the water buffalo, but it's definitely got like a whatever people may find sensitive in like butter, in, you know, classic butter is usually not in the water buffalo.
Okay.
Can't remember what, but it's kind of like in the goat realm.
The A1, I think the A1 casein, the A2 casein. So if you can find an A2 source of dairy, much better. And I think that's why the sheep, the goat's better, and certain Jersey and whatever. Yeah. Probably water buffalo too.
That's it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I am super interested in.
Sorry.
Yes.
Just thought of something too. Also, we talked about what to eat, what to not eat.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Because this is where it's key, because there's anti-nutrients.
Right.
And one thing that's really key for teeth, and like that won't make the teeth healthy, is things high in phytic acid. That's like a robber of minerals. So, you know, if you are a vegetarian and having like oats for breakfast, lentils for lunch, and rice for dinner, that's a lot of phytic acid.
Right.
And especially if it's not soaked and prepped. So if there are, if you're eating in that realm, you got to rock the proper preparations.
Right.
Because then you got a diet really high in phytic acids, and then you're literally depleting the very important minerals for the teeth.
Right. So soaking, fermenting.
And all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, now I don't go to those realms, you know what I mean?
No.
Or something like oxalates could be really challenging your digestion, and then you're not absorbing what you're eating.
Right.
So that's that's a big area, but that's I think a key thing for people to look at if they've got like inflammatory responses to things,
Right. And then there's of course the usual crap, which is in these days it's also genetically modified crap on top of it. So you have to keep that out in general.
Yeah, because glyphosates aren't helping the gut.
No, not at all. Not at all. Okay.
And the main thing with that is they say there's like, it's just to, like the chemicals that are used in the glyphosates is just to inhibit the shikimate pathway of the, insects or whatever, that kind of thing.
Yes.
But and then the companies that have them say, and the humans don't have that shikimate pathway, but all our bacteria do.
Yeah. And I think the plant, in order to uptake everything, right? It's so crazy. Yeah.
So crazy.
Oh, I know. Zach Bush talked a lot about that. I think it was, that's who I learned that from originally. Yeah.
And the lines are getting erased. Like, like the regulations for organic and things, they're getting.
Oh, they voted to drop all transparency around, I think, genetic modification of any food. No need to declare. And the regulators are the ones that produce and profit from them as well. So it's crazy making when you read this stuff, and how people don't see that connection is just crazy. So yeah, it's so important now to know your farmers, know your food sources, know the integrity of your producers, because wow. And the problem is if they just, maybe they go without something and then they think, well, I have to get it from here, and they don't even, and if there's nothing needs to be declared, it's like, it's eventually it's going to be, this is so blurred, right? It's just frustrating when you really care. And then you're trying to raise healthy children, right?
Oh my God.
On top of that, it's just so, it's frustrating.
What?
Oh, and so coming back quickly to the children thing, do you have to worry about the ligament when extracting?
Oh, I can't remember. I think they're just doing it in a different way because there's another tooth coming.
Yeah. So it didn't.
I think that's why it's called a pulpectomy, because it's a little bit different.
Oh, okay.
Or that's the thing, instead of the root canal. So I'm sorry, I don't know that for sure right now, but yeah, it's definitely, it's just a bit different because there's another tooth coming.
Yeah, because my son has had a few teeth pulled. He actually had pulled, and I'm assuming with a tooth underneath there, I'm sure that's
now sometimes, like I know, especially when I was growing up, there was that, we're gonna make more room in your mouth. And they would just like pull some teeth.
Right.
So I don't know if they did that and there's nothing else coming. So just maybe check in. But I think
they did it because he had one that was like half gone. It was pretty scary. Like they were bad. But so let's talk.
How old is he now?
14.
Nice. My son's 15.
Yes, I remember they're actually fairly close. And so he's got his teeth all fit. There's actually still spaces. So I'm hoping, lots of room for wisdom teeth. He hasn't had any problems with any kind of cavities or anything. They're way stronger. So thank God.
Also, just know, like with wisdom teeth, 67%, and this is from the Journal of, I don't know, somewhere in England dentistry.
Yeah.
67% are totally useless. Like you should not, 67% of wisdom teeth removal, the teeth that were removed should not have been removed.
I believe that.
So do not go for the prophylactic. No. Oh, well, they're just no, let them come in. And even if it's going to come in crooked, let it come in, because it might straighten itself out. We need the teeth. It's not, they're there for a reason. It's just our jaws got smaller. Of course. But you might need that tooth when you're older, because maybe the one beside it is going to go or whatever. So you want to, minimally invasive dentistry, keep what you can, and work with a dentist that just knows that and is into that.
Right. Yeah. It never made sense to me. It's like they're coming in for a reason, and you're just going to prophylactically pull them. Like, to me, that's crazy making. It's like, that's crazy. It's like your teeth grow in for a reason, and let's look at why they don't fit anymore.
Yeah, and then there's things that you, instead of doing orthodontics, I have a chapter on braces, but there's orthotropics, there's different things. There's facial, I forget what it's called, just like, restructuring your face through like exercise. Myofascial, oh, I can't remember. Anyway, there's stuff you can do. But the orthotropics, for example, and there's spacers. So you may just need to create more space in the arch of the mouth, for example, which is going to be beneficial for even the development of the face, that kind of thing.
Right.
But braces actually make the teeth, the face grow differently. And there's a good video, Australia 60 Minutes, orthodontist braces. I'm sure you could find it, where you got twins again, and one had braces, one didn't, and it's completely different face growth.
Wow, that's fascinating. That's
fascinating.
I interviewed a dentist out of California years ago, and he does that, but it was for my program on conscious pregnancy and parenting, and he talks about the bite and how it's see, I can't remember his name now either, so fresh in my mind at a time, but and about the braces and how there's other ways to that, where you get these splints put in, and then it brings your jaw forward and it changes the whole stuff, but in a way that it's not just pulling teeth, it's your whole structure, and how that's affecting the substance P, and how substance P is such a massive part of so many sicknesses and problems. And it's an amazing, it's a really interesting interview, because it's a totally different approach to fixing matters, like the structure of the mouth.
Yeah, that's important. It's also important for kids and adults to not mouth breathe. Because mouth breathing in kids can cause cavities.
Right.
As well, probably adults too, because you're not getting that saliva fluid, washing the sort of teeth at night.
Right.
And, besides just oxygenation and stuff, but mouth breathing will literally create a different face structure as well.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So let's talk about some of your amazing products. And I want to first talk about ozone, and why is ozone so amazing? But like, I literally watched a spot start to form in my son's tooth, and I got on it and I flooded it with ozone every day, and I watched it disappear. Like, it was amazing. And abscesses, once I caught on to this finally and really got into it, like it's a miracle. So what is ozone doing to the tooth itself, and why is it so beneficial in the mouth?
Well, it's like O2 has this free oh my God, what is that? Electron, and it's able to zap, you know what I mean? Because it's like finding something. It's like, so that's why it's good to eat ozone saunas or whatever, because whatever you're sweating out gets zapped by this free molecule. And I mean, that's kind of it. Tesla, the inventor, invented one of his varying, patents. He had so many across so many different fields, but he ozonated olive oil. So he was the one to invent that, of putting ozone through oil, and then the oil captures it. And so, which is great. And so that we have the happy gumdrops, and we've made an ozone form of it. So we ozonate the formula.
Yeah.
I let the dog out. We ozonate the formula, and so it's such a great, part of the dental program to be able to dab that on to gums and teeth that need it.
Yes. So it's going to help mineralize, but it'll help clean it up, right? Like,
it doesn't necessarily mineralize it, but it cleans it, and it gets, it's a vulnerary. It helps to speed up healing of the gums and the area, and it's really good. And you can just dab it on, because a lot of people don't have like ozone at home.
Right.
Most people don't.
Most people don't. I'm actually doing an interview on ozone next week with a friend here in Calgary who actually does ozonate olive oil.
And that's great.
That Tesla machine. And that's the one she uses.
Yeah. And really the good dentists now will have ozone, and they'll make it a part of cleaning, and, any dental work they'll inject the site with ozone.
Yes.
To clean it out, especially if they're taking out, that old root canal, cleaning out the cavitation. It's really good.
And I think that's the way you can avoid antibiotics after dental surgery, right? Like, 'cause the problem is I know the one that we used to go to years ago, you do like a 30-second shot of ozone. It costs you like $200 just for like literally 30 seconds of ozone. It's like, oh my God, this is kind of crazy. So it's not maybe accessible to everyone, but when you know the long-term impact of maybe avoiding antibiotics and what it's actually doing to the health of the mouth in general.
Yeah.
Just,
Oh, it's only good. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, to avoid antibiotics, I do a few things. And I have another article and an interview with Ben Greenfield where I go through also using peptides and doing other steps in advance and after of any major dental situation to boost your immune system, like using thymosin alpha or BPC 157. It's a whole other world. So you know,
How do you get those peptides? Do you sell those? Can people get them? Or how does that
no,
work?
I mean you have to go to it's a huge area of study, but I do have some suggestions in that article.
Okay. I'll find that. Okay. And so what are you providing? So what are the benefits? Like what kind of things can people get through you, and why do you choose what you choose to put in there? What are your faves?
Yeah, well, we're really making everything for the mouth with the botanical biotics. So we've got swishing serums, which is like, you know, to do oil pulling.
Okay.
And we have them, but with, you know, vitamins and different botanical biotics. And so it's not just like obviously coconut oil, and you can do that at home. And I have recipes where you can, you know, upgrade your coconut oil for oil pulling. And it's very effective, it is ancient Ayurvedic remedy, but it's very good for whitening. It's great for kids who are like, you know, I mean, I don't think you're really an adult, so you're like fully brushing properly. And by then, you know, we're probably so bored of it, we're still not brushing properly. We're like,
Probably.
oh, this again. You know, so that oil pulling is really great. It's also, I've seen a lot of teeth get super white on it. So that's super cool. And it's just great because it's just getting every area. Then we have our dental serums, which was sort of my first product, which was the healthy. I call it healthy because that's what it used to be called. So you're not allowed to use the word healthy.
You're not?
So it's happy. No.
Oh,
Like you can't say like this shampoo is for healthy hair.
Oh my goodness.
But anyway, our happy gumdrops.
I remember them being healthy gumdrops.
Yes.
Before.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally remember that.
Can't remember when we had to change it. But anyway,
so that's you putting that on your floss?
You can put that on your floss, or like extra spots, or like, oh, I see something coming, you know, I want to reverse it. So you could apply to that. You can just use it instead of toothpaste. You could use it and then, you know, dip your toothbrush in some baking soda. So you can use it with baking soda. You can, you know, use it to make, you could add it to the toothpaste recipe that you make, for example, or, you know, whatever. So you can use it. Yes. It's very concentrated. You can add one drop just to your mouth in place of, oh, I just realized I need some power on my computer. Hold on. Which is going to change my mic setup. Hold on. Forgot you just can't talk all day and not have the battery go out. Yeah, so we've got the dental serums, which are really unique. I mean, those didn't really exist as a concept, you know, or before. So that was that's what, like when I was at the dental hygienist at 22 and she was just like, go home and make something. I was like, okay. So,
really?
Yeah, I'm going to put that stuff in my mouth. Then we've got the ozonated healthy, happy gum gel, which is great. And you can use that in the same way as the dental serums. It's very concentrated. You can also use it as toothpaste. You could also, you know, add it to your toothbrush and a dash of baking soda. And then we have our beautiful toothpaste. I think we have 4 or 5. We've got the wintergreen clean with charcoal. We've got the happy gumdrops, which is clay based. We've got our triple mint, which is the one with the nano hydroxyapatite. We've got our neem toothpaste, which is great. Neem is so great. It's one of the bitterest herbs. So it's an acquired taste, but it is so good for the oral environment. So that's really good. And we have our frankincense toothpaste, which I'd say like all of them really help sensitive teeth, but that one seems to have a super affinity for getting people off like Sensodyne and stuff.
Which one?
Again, Sensodyne. What's that?
The frankincense one?
The frankincense one, yep. Frankincense fresh toothpaste. So Sensodyne, besides the chemicals, it's like a Band-Aid, right? It's just anesthetizing the situation. It is not, it's making life tolerable, but the moment you stop, you still have sensitive teeth. Maybe they're even more sensitive now. So whereas people find just even using the frankincense paste for 1 or 2 days, they're like,
Wow.
something gets solved.
I
So
was
we've
reading the testimonials on the toothpaste.
oh
And
yeah,
we're huge. Like best thing, like whitening and just the health of the teeth in general. Just like they're out of this world. People love, love, love all your
I
toothpaste.
love that.
So, yeah.
Yay. And I love what I love is there's a lot of like, I went to my dentist and he's like, I don't know what you're doing, but keep it up. Like there's so many of those. And there's a lot of dentists that want to know and they're all over it. And then many of them are like, they don't want to know.
I don't want
They're
to know.
just like, great.
Yeah. Just like the doctors, right? It's like, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it. Just
Yeah,
like, where's
exactly.
This is kind of your field. Wouldn't you want to know? Yeah, it's really quite surprising. But oh my goodness. So yeah, so what is your dental routine?
Oh, what is that I don't do the 8 steps every day. I feel like that's also helps you kind of get your teeth back on track. Or if you do have a dental appointment, it's great to do those solidly for like 3 months in advance, because that will prepare you may even have a shorter, less expensive dental appointment because you've already you addressed some issues.
So what are they? So for people who don't know what they are, what are those?
Well, we have them all over the website and stuff too,
Okay.
so you can print them out and that kind of thing. But it's you're rinsing and that sort of it alkalines. So you can rinse with a salt water or baking soda water, and that gets the mouth all alkaline and like ready to brush away. Then you're focusing on brushing the gums for one round, and then you focus on the teeth. So the gums, you might use a manual brush where you're just really like almost not dry brushing, but dry brushing the gums, how you dry brush your body. Like you're stimulating them, you're removing plaque from there as well. And then they're having that polishing face. You're thinking more of the actual teeth now, but the gum stage is really about being gentle with the gums and getting the gums stimulated. And then you're brushing the teeth, of course, brushing down. Then you're going to floss. You can put some of that dental serum along that floss, and that's really good because it's going to get that good botanical biotic information up into the crevices of your teeth. And people find if they floss and bleed, if they use the dental serum, that usually goes within like a day or a few days, stops the bleeding. And sometimes that area just needs to be stimulated. Maybe it's been stagnant for too long, you could need more vitamin C. And then you're going to floss twice. And the second time round, you'll know why, because there's still stuff coming out.
Mm-hmm.
But after you've done that for 3 months, it may not, that would probably lessen. And then hopefully I'm not forgetting any. Then you're rinsing again, and then you'll do like spot treatment. So anywhere in your area that needs special attention. So you would flush that out with a syringe, maybe that gum line, or, apply some of the dental serum on like a receding gum, just anything that needs sort of fine tuning. And that's it. It doesn't take really, might take like 4 minutes instead of 2, but I think we need a bit more than 2 minutes on our teeth too. And just doing that like, top, morning and night is good. You don't have to brush in the middle of the day.
Okay. And your routine now?
I use the triple mint. And we also have like a new, or last year new, I'm really excited, this really good electric toothbrush that's EMF free. We've got really good angles. It's sonic, so it's got a really good vibration, but not an irritating one, because some sonic I would try and I would just feel like it was too like high. It was like really high pitched or something. So this I don't find irritating at all. And we love the no EMFs. It also holds a charge for 30 days. So it's really good for long travels. You don't need to bring the charger. And it has a couple different heads. And one of them is like a sulca head. It's like a very thin sort of one like tuft of bristles.
Yeah.
And that's really good for interdental cleaning. And it's also at a really good angle. So it's a really good plaque remover. Tongue scraping. That's part of the steps. So I would rinse, salt rinse, brush, tongue rinse. And if I'm feeling extra, whatever more time, then I'll do this swishing serum.
Oh, okay. You do that after.
Yeah, I do. I mean, there's a lot of debate before, after, but I'm thinking like, don't we want to swish in a cleaner mouth?
Right.
That's my logic.
And do you brush a little bit afterwards or rinse that out after you've swished? Or
No, it's good. Yeah.
Good? Yeah.
That's good.
Okay.
Good in there.
Okay.
Definitely do a good spit. I mean, yeah, you could rinse it. We just use your baking soda water or the salt water.
And you keep that at keep that available at all times, right? Right by.
Yeah, you can just do a mason jar, and if you're sharing it with, just have some shot glasses in the bathroom. Because once you learn, like once you learn, like as deep as I did, you hardly want your toothbrush in the same bathroom as somebody else. But we do. They jump and stuff. Yeah, you can also dip your overnight. You can keep your toothbrushes dipped in mild hydrogen peroxide solution. That's nice.
Yeah, and if
you want to keep,
okay, go.
I was going to say, and you can do that throughout the month, because you definitely, your toothbrush head will last longer, so you want to keep it clean, like in those 6 months, just rinsing it underwater. And you want to make sure it's dry, like it dries every day.
Right. Absolutely.
That's important.
Yeah. I sometimes will rinse them with colloidal silver as well. Or I always have
that's good.
peroxide, something like that.
Yeah. Oh, we also have a new manual brush. I forget about, but it's so cool. It's like what I've always wanted bristles to be, which is like a lot of them, but softer too. So it's like a velvet brush. And it's like, I think 1,000 bristles or something. It's so many, and it's so good on the gums. And it kind of just removes plaque in a different way. Like it's neat. It's a good experience.
What is the best thing to help you remove plaque? Because some people, they secrete a lot of saliva at the back of their teeth, and they really get, and my son was like that when he was younger. The plaque behind his teeth would be so fast. I would be because it's like, it's ridiculous. So what is the best thing to get that plaque rid of?
Some of that is sort of like a mineral and K2. So you want to make sure your minerals are there, and because there's a balance there to the saliva. And that I find the new toothbrush is really good, but before, that's why I also like the round headed. So, before we have this new toothbrush, I would recommend just like a round headed electric.
Yeah.
For that second brushing, because you always use this manual one for the gums, because it's just that different little round head, and you can really get in the back there, because there are glands there, and that is a big plaque area for people. Mm-hmm. So I just found that round head help. That the new brush has these different angled heads, or you can use that Sulca brush, and you just have to focus on that area if that's the issue. And then that's where, so that's my daily routine, and then like once a month or so, that's when I'll combine like that. Do the hydrogen peroxide baking soda for some extra scrubbing, or a little bit of that pumice flour in with my toothpaste to do the extra scrubbing. So that would be good for that area.
Okay, nice. And if somebody was rinsing with hydrogen peroxide, how often could they do it? I find it also makes the teeth sensitive. I thought, I'm going to do this like years ago. I'm like, oh no, I don't do it very often, because I find my teeth get quite sensitive.
Yeah, well, sometimes the teeth are sensitive because the gums are actually like disturbed, so to speak. Like that's where it's too astringent, or a lot of tooth sensitivity is actually like a receding gum line area. Right. It's not the tooth per se. Right. It's the gum around the tooth.
Right.
And that's, so I would just do it maybe twice a month and do the baking soda rinse after.
Okay. Well, is there anything?
You can also, there's like,
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Go.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Okay.
I realized we covered ozone.
Yes, and ozone. I love ozone. I'm so excited. I put it on my face. I put it on anything. I love ozone.
Do you have to use a machine, or do you have like?
No, I just buy my friend's products. And then I just use that. So yeah, one day I have looked into it, but apparently you can't get them into Canada anymore. Like apparently in November, they made it illegal in Canada or something. So you'd have to find it within the existing border, like if you want to buy a product that's been pre-owned or smuggle it in something, like there's all this new regulation around ozone, so it's pretty ridiculous. Like it's real. Yeah. So well, is there anything else we didn't cover? And so quickly, what is the mouth related to? Like when we want to look at our whole health, are there other signs that we know when we need to look to the mouth for our health? Or what could we expect by cleaning up this? Like, have you gotten testimonials of people like, oh, I fixed my mouth health and all of a sudden this and this has gone away? Like, have you Do you know, have you had any feedback like that?
Yeah, we've had lots of feedback like that. I'd say it'd be different in every case, but the main thing is if it's in your mouth, it's in your getting into your body, right? So like Dr. Steven Sinatra, special heart guy, he has written a few books on heart health. And he said that, yeah, flossing, it was some study, adds 7 years to your life.
Wow.
And that's because the plaque, you're getting rid of plaque, which, you know, when it travels through the body, it creates different things.
Right.
So there's like plaque and biofilms that can, you know, get into the body, or it's affecting digestion in some way. And it's just like the first hit of the body. Now, if there's deeper issues, you know, like we need to clean up, and a lot of us do, a lot of us really just have to clean up previous dental work. And so that's why it's good to find that good dentist, because there are decisions that were made that you maybe don't, you know, don't want anymore.
Totally.
And that's, you know, and that's why, again, it's important to have that good dentist, because at some point we need that partner in our health. And like you can have one move at a dentist that's like literally affecting your health for the next 30, 40 years, but it just seemed like such a small decision, you know?
And I think people have to also remember, guys, like your teeth can self-heal, right?
Yes.
If we provide the right nutrients, if we provide what the body needs to heal, the teeth can do that too. It's like a broken bone doesn't stay broken. A broken bone
exactly
will heal, right?
And a cavity is really just an infection, and the body can heal infection.
Of course.
So the gums are healthy and viable tissue that can like, again, you can't like, I mean, there's been the technology, and it should be here now, to regrow teeth from stem cells, because that was like 10 years ago, and then it was supposed to take about 5 years. They've regrown like teeth in pigs and stuff. They make like, they take with stem cells, and they make like a little mold where the tooth should be, and then it's like just filled with stem cells that eventually like create a tooth. Wow. So we're there.
Yes.
And the body is way more regenerative than I think we sort of grew up knowing or believing. But whatever state your mouth is in right now, it can totally get better, whether it's, you know, the gum health, the teeth health, the saliva health, the whole little oral environment. It can definitely improve.
Right.
And following those 8 steps, even though it seems so simple, and it's things you can do the 8 steps with our products, but it's also, you can just literally do it with baking soda for the rest of your life. You know, if you use baking soda alone for the rest of your life, instead of any of that stuff in the drugstore aisles, you will be 1,000 times better off with your teeth and teeth health.
Right. You don't need it, guys. So yeah, and those 8 steps, when you look at the dental products on the site, then there it's posted right at the top there, so you can see what those are. You can print that off or write them down or whatever. Get this book, or get the newer book where you've got everything in there. You got dental health, beauty health, everything like that. But this is really a big part of that. When you have a healthy mouth, that looks a lot like, you know, sometimes you see people in their salon, they got like puffy red gums and plaques all along there, and it's like, ugh, that's a big part of your whole beauty, and then the way you project yourself as well too. A healthy mouth, you know, it's nice to see. I remember I used to always notice people, I used to comment when they have nice healthy pink gums. I would just notice that. People thought it was so strange for noticing that, but it's noticeable to see that healthy mouth. So yeah, it's not just about straight teeth or white teeth, it's everything.
Yeah, the straight teeth and those are nice, but like, we got to like know more, and we got to get dental. It's not just about the veneers, literally, you know, like, we got to get to the root of things.
Oh yeah. And I can't believe, like, some people, they have these perfectly healthy teeth, but they don't look like that movie star smile, and they'll literally cover them up and put veneer, like they shave down their own natural teeth and replace them. And some people I know, they weren't even that bad in the beginning. It's just, wow.
Or take them all out and then give them dentures.
Yes. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No, I know my best friend's mom had her teeth taken out decades ago and has had.
And that's like, even if you thought it was a good idea at the time or whatever, there's no way that's good for your self-esteem.
Right. And just think of like even the jawbone and what that's going to do. So many things. Chewing. Yeah. And if you can't properly chew, then you're going to impact the way you break down your food and absorb and cause digestive problems. Like, it's all connected, people. It's all connected. Oh, it's so funny. Okay. Well, I think we're right on time again. So I know you guys, right? Isn't this interesting? Like, let's start owning it in all ways. And I think oral health is one of the last places that people think. They start taking their supplements, eating their smoothies. Maybe they'll go to the gym, but they don't really think about changing their toothpaste or how they're brushing their teeth, or bringing essential oils into their dental regime, right? There's so many other things that we can do for that. And it's a really big part of the whole health picture. I would say it's a whole picture project. So
Yes.
get on to livinglibations.com/TSC and check all those products out. So many great products. And let's start and read the testimonials, because there are so many testimonials, and people are so happy with whether it be their skin, their mouth, their gums, their teeth, like so many different things, so many great products. So Nadine, thank you so much. Thank you so much for just being like, Nadine has been on her path since she was super young, and we get to benefit from that, right? Because she's made it her life path. She's made it her whole business. She's like, it's her whole everything. And through that, we get to benefit from all that. Because I know this is exciting. I like to experiment making things, but I'm not going to go to the extent that you've done and the things that you've provided for us. So, you know, through that, we all get to benefit. So thank you so much for doing that. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for appreciating it.
Okay. Well, guys, like I said, again, I keep saying lately, I'm getting censored. So share this information. I know we all need to know this information. So please share it with your friends, with your family. Check it all out. And again, come visit me with the next interview that I'll be posting, which is going to be on ozone the next time. So
amazing.
Forward to that one as well. So thanks everyone for joining me. And until next time, be healthy, be happy.